Alright, what's going on, guys? Try back again. Here to bring you another video. This video is going to be doing another versus matchup, my versus series videos. Viewer requested matchup. This one is going to be a tag team matchup, 2-on-2, featuring Merle and Daryl Dixon, the Dixon brothers, versus Rick Grimes and Shane Walsh. Alright, so people be liking the versus videos, man. I've stopped doing them for a little while, and people are like, Trev, we got to see some more versus videos. So definitely do this one. This one, a lot of people requested in a couple of videos, and it was thumbed up many times. People wanted to see who I think would win between the two. Now, here's what we'll do. We'll do this in a poll-style video. This one's going to be pretty controversial, because I think it could go either way. It's a really close one. So if you agree with me, thumbs up, and if you disagree with me, thumbs down. Don't thumbs for how you think the video is. Thumbs for who you think would win. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs up if you agree with me. Thumbs down if you disagree with me. So, who do I think would win in this type of matchup? Okay. Well, first thing we can say right off the bat is this matchup almost happened in the Walking Dead TV series, but because of the events of Merle leaving the group, having his hand, the whole roof thing with the handcuff, cutting his hand off and all of that, it didn't happen. But in Season 3, we found out that Merle basically tells Daryl that they were planning on robbing the camp, and we get to see that. He says, "I bet you didn't tell your pal Rick," or something along these lines, that we were planning on robbing that camp. So it could have gone down actually in Season 1 if Merle would have came back afterwards. It probably would have if he would have rejoined the group instead of joined up with the governor and came back to the camp. He would have wanted revenge. They were planning on robbing the camp anyway, so shit would have gone down. Now, I don't think this match really matters if it happens in The Walking Dead Season 1 or Season 3 or Season 4 or furthermore, because all the characters evolve, so much. Like when they start off, for example, Merle, let's use for example. Merle is heavier. He's not in as good a shape. He's not as tough. He doesn't have his frickin' bayonet hand. He's not as good of a shot, I would say, probably. Or, well, I guess maybe I can't say that. But I think in a zombie apocalypse, doing it every day, you're going to get better at anything you're doing, right? So he becomes even tougher. Daryl, exactly the same. Rick, exactly the same. And Rick also transitions even more than anyone else, probably, because he goes from your, atypical good guy cop, conscience be your guide, Captain America type, character, justice and the whole bit, into direct badass to where the prisoners who were at the prison at the beginning of Season 3, when Thomas tried to kill Rick, afterwards Rick did not hesitate to machete that bastard right between the eyes. Brutal. So they all evolve. So, I think the same conclusion can be drawn if they fight in Season 1 or if they fight in Season 3 or 4, if the characters were all alive. Because obviously we know Shane and Merle no longer here. So that being said, definitely could have gone down. Now let's place it Season 1, since they were all alive at that point. It makes the most sense. But let's give Merle his bayonet hand, because it just makes sense. And let's say he's practiced with it for a little while. So they go at it. Let's say 2-on-2, fully armed. Daryl's got his crossbow. Merle's got his bayonet hand all taped up and ready to whoop some zombie ass, stabby. Got his M16, let's say, or something of the sort, ready to go at it. Shane's got his trusty shotgun. Rick's got his axe and his revolver and maybe, an assault rifle too, and they throw down. Let's place it in Atlanta, let's say. Okay, so right outside of Atlanta. Now, the first thing I'll say right off the bat is, obviously, you have team coordination to take into consideration, where in a one-on-one, you don't necessarily have that. So in this, you have Daryl and Merle, brothers, obviously been together since the start of the apocalypse. Their whole lives, been brothers, obviously know each other like the back of their hand. Merle's got military training. Daryl's just tough as nails, one of those just really tough type of guys. And, brother and brother, they're going to work really well together, obviously. So, they're going to have good teamwork. They're going to be able to scout for each other. They've got better tracking skills than Rick and Shane do. They've got better, I would say, awareness, of where they are, Daryl and Merle, with their tracking, and they even talk about it in the Season 2, when they're, I think they were tracking at one point, and Merle was talking to him about that. But anyway, the point of being is that they've got better awareness, I think, in that situation. Let's see, any other special abilities, so to speak, of the two together? I think that's probably a, no, obviously there's more, but mentionables, though that's going to be your mentionables right there. So let's move over to Rick and Shane. So you have Rick and Shane. So Shane, obviously, trusty shotgun. Rick, they, I would say, probably combined, both of them, have better accuracy than the Dixon brothers, I would say, even though Merle is the marksman. Daryl, using the crossbow for mid-range, but I think I would give them the advantage in long-range shooting, Rick and Shane. Also, in terms of the way they work together, they might, even though they're not brothers, they might even be better together than the Dixons because they were partners, if you remember. So they actually were on the job every day together, covering each other's backs and doing everything. Now, granted, you could say that, well, look how that turned out for Rick, whatever. But, I mean, it could happen. But, again, they were together all the time. They were fighting together. They were working together. So they might not be blood brothers, but they're just as close, and they're just as well practiced together, if not more so than the Dixon brothers, I would say. So in terms of who would I give the advantage to in terms of teamwork and that aspect of it, I actually would have to say it's a draw. You have brothers, you have partners that were best friends before, just like brothers. I don't think that one group over the other of the two, one pair or the other pair, really has an advantage in terms of that. I mean, accuracy from the police officers. And they've got good deductive reasoning, too, and everything, covering each other and everything practiced. And then, of course, Merle and Daryl, well practiced as well. Good hunting skills, all these types of things. Tough, rugged. That's a draw for me in terms of that aspect of it. So let's break it down into each character. So if you're going to go Rick versus Daryl, let's say it ends up being, and Shane versus Merle. Well, I have done breakdowns of each of those individually. And I do think that even though Daryl is tough as nails, got his crossbow, everything like that, ready to go, I still would have to give Rick the advantage. I mean, Rick is so accurate and so quick to draw with his revolver. We got to see it in Season 2, Triggerfinger, Nebraska, where he takes out Dave and Tony in the bar so fast against Thomas, where he dodges that the strike from Thomas. What was he holding? I forget. And then, machetes him in the head. I mean, there's so many examples of how quick Rick can be when he needs to be and how tough he is, too. Even though Daryl might be a little bit tougher, I feel like Rick has got more abilities. He's more technical. He's more practiced, being the police officer, having that training, all these things between the two of them. As much as I love Daryl, I think he's a fan favorite, obviously one of my favorite characters in the whole series, be it comic book or TV series. I think I have to go with Rick between the two of them. When it comes to Merle against Shane, that one right there is like almost a draw. I did a video breakdown of that one too. And I would have to go with, I think, either a draw or like barely Shane might inch it out with his shotgun. Just barely. But let's say, for argument's sake, Merle somehow manages to take Shane down. It's not impossible. Let's say, they either fight to a draw or, goes down. You've got Rick, who would still be around, even though he'd probably be wounded, maybe a crossbow arrow in the side or something. But overall, I think that Rick and Shane would be able to take down the Dixon brothers. I'd have to say so. Even though, I mean, the Dixons are such fan favorites. They're such interesting characters. They're so tough. They're so rugged. They're definitely a tough pair to deal with in a zombie apocalypse. One of the toughest. But Rick and Shane, man, they're just so well practiced. They're so well trained. They're so accurate with their shotgun and revolver, guns, everything. I mean, Rick's use of grenades, for example, being able to cover each other. And if they were to separate up a little bit against the other two and it went down that way, I'd have to go with Rick and Shane as taking this one. But it's a close one. It's a really close one. So like I said before, thumbs up if you agree Rick and Shane take this. Thumbs down. Don't be shy. Thumb it down if you don't agree with me. If you think Daryl and Merle would take this, thumb it down. Please do. That way we can just see when people click on the video, they watch it, they can be like, oh, they can look at that and they can see this many people agree, this many people disagree. Kind of like a poll. It's an either or anyway, so let's do it that way. So my thoughts are, who would win? Daryl and Merle versus Shane and Rick. Trev's got to go with Shane and Rick. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. For more versus matchups, please write them below in the comments, or and thumb up other people's if you like them, or private message me, and I do take them in consideration, and if I get time, I will do them. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.